How are y'all feeling today? Welcome in. Welcome in. How y'all doing? What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? I hope that everybody's having an amazing day today. Thank y'all so much for vibing with me this evening. Hey, boo. How you doing, Haley? Yes, I hope that everybody's having an amazing weekend. Thank y'all so much for vibing in and tuning in. Today we're gonna be talking a little bit, it might be a little trigger warning for some of us, but it is most definitely an important conversation that needs to be had. And we are talking about healing sexual trauma. So if you are catching this on a replay, stay tuned if this is something that you want to learn more about. But for those of you guys who are here, go ahead and drop me some purple hearts in the comments to let me know that y'all are ready for this topic. So I've been doing good, love. You are glowing. Thank you, girl. Just a little slight beat, YouTube, since I have been on YouTube more consistently, I've gotten back into wanting to do my makeup. I used to do my makeup all the time. I've never been somebody who does it every single day, but college days for sure, at least 3 days out of the week, 3-4 days out of the week, I always, come up with a nice little slay. But since I am having to be more like do more pre-recorded videos and things like that, I've been, just been tapping into my seduction. I've been getting back into that, and I've been enjoying doing my makeup. So that might be some of the blame for my little glow, a little highlight ain't never hurt nobody. But I do thank you because I do feel as good as I look. So I feel like YouTube is definitely a better vibe than TikTok. I feel the same way. So I love intimate settings. Our TikToks usually be booming, like, a lot of people coming in, but I enjoy having intimate moments where, the Rebirth Society is here, or, some of the people from TikTok, a lot of them still haven't migrated over here, which is cool. It's cool. I ain't mad at them. But I think that, the YouTube vibe is a little bit more my speed because it's more intimate. And as we grow, of course, that's going to start to be big like TikTok as well. But I always appreciate the humble beginnings to before I get to the other spot. So I do appreciate you guys being with me on this journey as I'm starting over to a new platform. You said they're missing out for sure. But the advantage that I love on this platform and any other platform other than TikTok is that, they get to see the replay. So they're not fully missing out, but they definitely missing out to the vibes because y'all know it's always a vibe over here. So we're gonna get into it. I hope that y'all have had an amazing day so far. How is y'all New Year's going? How has the first few days, have they settled in? Did y'all celebrate New Year? Or do you waiting for the spring equinox? Like how has your New Year been going so far? Like how has that momentum been going? I'm curious to know. But I do want to start off. I know y'all like, dang, you hitting with the heavy hitters because I did my abstinence journey. If y'all haven't watched that video, go back and watch that video. We did that a couple days ago on my abstinence journey. And, we've been talking a lot about, stuff. But, y'all know that that's what we do here. We talk about healing. We talk about, spiritual development, physical development, womb healing and things like that. So I don't want y'all to feel like, especially if y'all are new, I don't want y'all to feel like, it's all doom and gloom, or we talk about stuff that's so depressive. I talk about stuff that needs to be talked about. A lot of us, I know like 1 in 4 women have experienced, attempted, or all the way rape. You say I printed out my vision board and had it with me on New Year's. Things are going good so far. Congratulations, love. I'm happy to hear that. I am happy to hear that. So when it comes to like sexual trauma and things like that, 1 in 4 women have been, experienced attempted rape or actual rape. And then 1 in 3 women have experienced some type of sexual harassment or some type of, Because if you look at, we're gonna get into that. So yeah, a lot of women are dealing with this is not something that it is something that we typically throw under the rug. Because I know in a lot of, I can't speak for nobody else's household, but I know in a lot of Black households is always, what goes on in this house stays in this house. Is a lot of women who started off being victimized by people in their homes, family members and boyfriends, who says real stuff that needs to be talked about. Some people just don't know how to handle hearing it, right, because it triggers them. And I want to, show grace and empathy as I deliver this message, because y'all know I'm working on me. I'm working on me. I am definitely working on me. And as I, one of my mentors, the Queen Poe, she was telling me that, we was in a Zoom call, and she was telling me how my delivery, if I'm trying to be a master teacher, that I need to work on my delivery, on how I respond to certain things. And y'all know I'm kind of cutthroat. Like I be thinking that I'm being soft. I be thinking that I'm being passionate. I'm just being, wording things a correct way. But then I have to, that's why I watch all of my replays as well, because I'm like, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I could have said that a little bit more gentle, or I could have brought it a different way. Thank God that most of my most of my audience, y'all vibe with me, so y'all know I'm coming from a genuine place. And I that's why I work so hard to be authentic, because people who know me, they know that even if I'm saying something that might, trigger you a little bit, it's always from love, right? And it is tough love. I will say that it is tough love, but at the same time, a lot of people, they've been getting tough love their entire life. They've been getting tough love from their parents. We hear a lot of times, especially as, Black culture growing up, we hear a lot of times, the world ain't gonna be nice to you, the world ain't gonna be gentle with you. So, that's why we deal with a lot of abuse in our homes, because, we're trained to be ready for pain all the time. And understanding that, now that I'm realizing that as well, that I'm starting to mimic those same behaviors to my audience, I'm checking myself and being more gentle in my delivery, because that didn't get us nowhere. Tough love is necessary sometimes, but for the majority of the time, people receive things better when it is gentle. So I don't want to be someone who's also inflicting trauma on you because of my delivery is so rough and cutthroat. So although let me be clear, although sometimes, until people get to a point where they can receive in a gentle state, that is the only way that some people can hear you as well. So like people, parents trying to gentle parent, or conscious parents, and they're like, well, my children don't hear me until I'm hollering. My children, you can say, hey, can you please pick up those toys 5 times, and then when you say, get them damn toys up and go sit the fuck down, that's when they hear you. But that's still a trauma response, and you're training them to only respond or take you serious when you're acting like that. So I'm still working on it. I'm still, I know that that's to a lot of my audience, that's the only way they're gonna hear me. But once I get their attention, I still want to redirect them to where I don't have to be so assertive. I don't have to be so, rough around the edges. But I'm a work in progress. So yes, y'all. So we are going to talk about sexual trauma and how to heal that tonight. I want to again thank y'all for trusting me with this information, and make sure that y'all are engaging in this conversation. If you need somebody to talk to, my email is always open, info@mysnatchshop. Y'all can always email me. I am always open. My DMs are open on Instagram. If y'all want to talk, and y'all can always book a consultation on my website as well. The link will be down in the description. But y'all, I'm always here if you guys need to talk. I won't say that, just to hit me up about anything, but I am a listening ear if you are trying to be solution based. I will not apologize for being solution based. Do not come to me. Definitely get a therapist, but don't come to me just to vent. I am a problem solver. So if you're coming to me, I'm going to assume that you are wanting a solution to your problem, and that I can definitely help you with. So let's get into it. So when it comes to sexual trauma, what exactly is sexual trauma? Sexual trauma is sexual activities that have been happening without consent or without freely giving that consent to you. And sexual trauma is also, this is the one that nobody talks about, but sexual trauma is also not being pleasured, consecutively not being pleased. So when it comes to sexual trauma, we typically we know about, being molested, being raped, or having things performed on us without us wanting it to happen, because sexual trauma also comes from not only non-consensual sex, but sexual activity, but it also comes to consensual sexual activity that was not freely given. So if somebody coerced you into having sexual activity that you didn't necessarily want to do, but they just kept begging and kept trying and kept annoying you, and you weren't confident enough to say, bro, just leave me the fuck alone, or whatever the case was, you weren't confident enough to do that. We see a lot of this in relationships, or when we are dating, because a lot of women, honestly, are terrified for their lives. And I see this a lot, and it really breaks my heart that I see a lot of women who say, like, they give their number out these days because they're scared of not going home. Like, I'll give my number out because I've heard women say, I'll give my number out because I ain't trying to get shot. It's a lot of guys out here who will kill you just because you denied them or turned them down. I've never experienced that. I'm not giving my number to you if I don't want to. But I definitely, you said no, for real. I had to put my foot down. I used to give it off of being scared of what they would think. Me too. And I feel like a lot of us share that experience. Is before we come into knowing who we are. And that's the same thing as far as like the simple thing of giving your number out. That's still a fear-based mentality where you feel like you are afraid that somebody is going to harm you because you denied them something. If you walk around with that mindset, like, let me just do this, or if somebody speaks to me, let me say, hey, let me do this, like, you feel obligated to speak to your counterparts because you are in fear that they are going to act irrationally and harm you. That is a trauma response to sexual trauma. That is a trauma response to even you seeing a lot of abuse or this happening, because not to dismiss your emotions, because it is a very real thing. There are people who die. There are women who have died because they turned down a man. There are women who were raped because they were nice to them, and the guy just said, oh, well, you were being nice to me, you spoke to me, so you were leading me on, or you wore this and you were leading me on. So it's like a lose-lose situation with us. So I'm not dismissing it at all, but what I am saying is, once you realize who you are, your worth and your value, and once you start vibrating at a higher level, you won't necessarily walk around with that fear, because I don't want anybody to walk, that's you literally being imprisoned in your own body, in your own mind. Like, that sucks. That sucks. And I don't want you guys to feel that way. I want you to free yourself of those shackles of feeling like you have to be so cautious with people. Like, bro, like, you should be confident enough to go outside and you don't owe nobody a fucking smile. You don't owe nobody a smile. And I'm somebody who is goofy as fuck. I'm always laughing. I'm always smiling. But if I'm just so happy, like, my resting bitch face is mean one. So a lot of people will come up to me and be like, just smile. If it's a woman, I'll do it. Like, but if it's a guy, and not even just a woman, like, I gotta, but if it's somebody that, is another beautiful black woman, coming up to me like, girl, if you don't put a smile on your face, which is rarely ever the case. Like, usually they just complimenting me on something, and then I'm smiling because of that. But it's usually guys that piss me off. They're just like, smile, baby girl, you look better. Like, bro, I don't have to stimulate you with a smile. I don't owe you a fucking smile. Like, I don't owe you that. You have said, you have helped me with thinking higher of myself. I know of people, damn it, I hate that YouTube makes the comments go away so fast. You said a lot of people don't like it, but have peace in areas of my life that I didn't. Oh, you got peace now in life, in areas of your life that you didn't. I'm so glad that I was able to help you with that. Because it is a powerful thing. Like, the way that you look at yourself is the way that the world is going to look at yourself. If you look at yourself as a victim, you're going to constantly see the world as people hurting you, or people, triumphing over you, or using you, abusing you in some way, because you look at yourself as a victim. So that's the intention behind having this conversation tonight, so that you guys can start to feel empowered again, so that you can start to get, if you've ever even felt it, because a lot of us are holding on to this trauma from childhood. So as someone who was molested as a child, as someone who grew up around that and not valuing myself and thinking like this was normal or this was okay, like guys just were supposed to have free access to your body, like, oh, you're not a girlfriend, or you're not a good girl, you're not a good wife material if you are not giving up your body, like, because that's what guys want. Like, as someone who is conditioned to believe that, I want to offer you guys the freedom that I have right now, because it is obtainable, and I want you to know that none of that was your fault, but a lot of that can be changed. Now that you know better, it would be your fault if you continue to not heal those areas. So let's get into how you can heal that. So first of all, like I said, I gave you guys what the definition of sexual trauma is. So how do you know if you have sexual trauma? So the easiest way to know if you have sexual trauma is the actual physical sexual trauma. So one of the sexual traumas that people do not really consider sexual trauma, but is sexual trauma, is not being pleased during sex. So how do you know if you have sexual trauma? Because there's some people who have experienced it and they feel like they've healed past it, but the physical is saying otherwise. So some of the examples of you having still haven't healed that womb is if you have never had an orgasm. That is one of the main ways to know that you still have blockages in your sacral chakra. If you are if it's very painful for you to have sex, that is also an indicator of you having sexual trauma or blocked sacral chakra. And then also, if there is a numbness or no feeling whatsoever, so you just don't feel aroused, it's kind of similar to, you just getting off. And that's why we talk about a lot about women who are hypersexual. A lot of them have a lot of sexual trauma because they can detach. And again, I was somebody who was like this, so I'm not saying this to judge anybody. I'm telling you from experience. There was a time where I could detach. There was no emotional attachment to sex, and usually that's a masculine thing. So when we're talking about being in survival mode, when we're talking about being hyper masculine as predominantly feminine beings, that is another way. When you have sex and there's no emotional or no spiritual attachment to it, you're just doing it as an act of physical pleasure. That is a masculine trait. That's also a survival trait, where you are just doing it just because. A lot of times you're doing it for stability, you're doing it for money, you're doing it for instant gratification. If you want somebody to take you out and do something nice, whatever the case is, a lot of times there's a numbness where women are like, well, I'm not feeling nothing behind this. And I wanted to do a video on that as well, as far as like, and I am going to do a video on that. I need to write it down because I keep forgetting, but a video on actually sex goddesses. Because a lot of women, they attach themselves to being like, the succubus, or I'm a sexual goddess and things like that. They exist. That is a thing. That is a such thing. But the majority of the women who are saying that they are sex gods or goddesses, they are just traumatized and they're hypersexual because of it. So it is not often, I don't know no percentages, but it's not that many women who are actually, they're designed to do this thing. A lot of women are just doing this as a response to trauma. So those are some of the ways to know if you have sexual trauma. If you are numb, if you don't have any feeling, no emotion when it comes to sex, and if you are having a lot of pain during sex, like you're not comfortable doing it, if you are not even sexually aroused, you don't even have a sexual drive, a sex drive at all, your libido is hella low, you have to force yourself to do it, and then when you're doing it, you're not really that wet because your mind is all over the place and your body is just not into it, your mind is not just into it. And then of course, if you are not having an orgasm whatsoever, like you've never had an orgasm, it's very rare for you to have an orgasm, which is really rare for most women, just because, our counterparts don't really know what they're doing most of the time. But if you've never experienced that, because you can have an orgasm with yourself, you don't need a partner to do that. So if you are just not having one in general, then those are some of the ways to identify if you have sexual trauma, the physical way to know if you have sexual trauma. So ways to heal this, ways to get past this. Ways to get past this. For one, I have my list right here. I don't know how many I got on here, but it's a lot of ways that you can heal this. The very first way that I'm going to recommend, of course, is yoni steaming. Why am I going to do that? So I definitely only have them when I do it. Girl, same. I'm lying. I've probably orgasmed twice in my life, by my counterparts. Yeah, twice in my life. Yeah, it's not something often that is done. But hey, we learning better. We choosing better, because by the next time I come out of my celibacy journey, listen. God bless the man. God bless the man who gets to tap this cookie when I finally give it up, because baby, baby, like honey, I guarantee you, I'm gonna get it there. Okay, I'm gonna get it there. But okay, so the first way that I learned how to heal my sexual trauma was yoni steaming. So I tell my story all the time. He said he don't know what to do. He better. But guess what? I'm gonna teach him, because I got time. I'm gonna have all the time, because if he there, he gonna know what to do. I ain't even about to wish that on myself. He gonna know exactly what to do with it, because he won't be getting it if he ain't know what to do with it prior. But y'all, okay, so when I started yoni steaming, I tell my story all the time that I started my yoni steaming journey for the spiritual benefits of it. And one of those spiritual benefits was healing sexual trauma and womb trauma, or past relationships and things that I had that were just not good for me. So that's what I started yoni steaming about. It wasn't for physical ailments, but the spiritual ailments, me needing to open up my sacral chakra and things like that. So I started yoni steaming with it. And during that process of yoni steaming and building a relationship with my womb, that's when I started to release a lot of that trauma. A lot of it surfaced with me, reflecting back on, why am I acting like this? Because I grew up with an amazing father. I grew up with an amazing father. My grandfather raised me, and he opened doors. He showed me how to be treated as a woman. He told me game and things like that. Like I had an example of what a good man should be. He said, I need to start. I just don't have a proper place to steam yet. Create a space, my love. Create a space. Are you in a Rebirth Society? You in a Rebirth Society? I need you to get in the Rebirth Society so we can get you on game. But yes, I had an amazing relationship with my, I was a daddy's girl when it comes to my grandfather in that relationship. So with him getting dementia my junior year of high school, and, me kind of fading. Yeah, you do need to be. Go ahead and get into that medicine woman course so you can get in there. But when it came to our relationship, I ended up losing that part of me, because I never had a relationship with my biological dad. Like, he's always been close by, but I never really had a real relationship with him. And I still don't. But when it came to like me being an adult, going off to college and really experiencing men, like, yeah, I had boyfriends or whatever in high school, but they weren't real, like, they're not real until you're actually on your own. Like, we just did a little cupcaking and stuff, but it wasn't like I didn't have like a real relationships with guys until I went to college. And when I went to college, I didn't have him because he was losing his mind. I didn't have him to guide me through certain stuff. I didn't have him to have that wisdom or whatever. And my brothers ain't worth the fuck. So, I didn't have that guidance, that male guidance. But once I started going to my healing journey through the Yanni steaming and stuff like that, I started to reflect back and I was like, what is it? Why do I not feel safe with guys? Like, why is it that I don't feel safe? And I ended up realizing that it came from me growing up and witnessing what a real man was supposed to be like, and then going directly into a world by myself when it was actually time for me to actually really date and really have adult relationships. I didn't have anybody that I trusted. I didn't trust my brothers. I didn't trust my cousins. I didn't trust my father or my uncles or none of that shit. Like, I had a lot of men around me, but I didn't trust any of them when it came to certain things, as far as me dealing with other guys. For a number of reasons, I just didn't trust them. So when I actually peel back those layers and say, okay, this is why I act the way I act, or this is the reason why I'm starting to accept bullshit, because I went back to my relationship like, bro, like, I didn't grow up seeing my grandfather treating my grandma this way. I didn't grow up, seeing, this type of behavior. So why am I accepting this shit? And as I'm seeing that through the Yanni steaming, and that's what's bringing me to that awakening, that's when I had to start to push back and say, okay, now let me see what trauma that I've caused on myself. What have I started to what inflictions of pain have I inflicted on myself because I haven't because I've experienced a new transition of living without my grandfather or not having that male guidance. How am I now? How did I cause whatever I'm going through? How can I take accountability for what I'm going through? Because it's all self-inflicted. I did it all to myself because, again, I didn't grow up witnessing that. So where did it come from? But it also came from being as a child, getting molested, getting all that stuff going on, and still not having anybody to protect me. So that it stemmed from that as well. Although I didn't have a bad relationship with my grandfather or with my father, I didn't have a bad relationship with that, but I never still was vocal about being touched. I was never vocal about, guys touching on me and stuff like that. Like, I never was vocal about it. So I still felt as I got older that I was not protected. And that is the reason why I still to this day struggle with my relationships with my counterparts, because I still don't trust men. Like, that's something I'm still healing through. So as I'm going through that, or as I'm saying that, Yanni Steeman definitely helped me. Yanni Steeman definitely brought me to a place of realizing my worth, because it helped me to center myself. It helped me to be more cautious with my womb and who I decided to let into me. Like, when I started Yanni Steeman, I didn't have a desire to be super promiscuous. Like, don't get me wrong, I still had my little lineup or whatever, but everybody wasn't hitting. Everybody didn't have access to the box. Everybody didn't have access to the box. That's when I learned that, everybody, like, people will tolerate you or people will deal with you because you have a good personality. Like, I've never been a boring bitch. Like, I've never been somebody who you sit around me, you not laughing or you not learning or something. Like, I'm always a vibe. I've always been a vibe. So if you're going to be around me, a lot of guys were around me, and even as a teenager, because I've always dated older guys. So I'm 16, 17 years old with boyfriends who 21, 22 years old, and they were never touching me. Like, I remember, like, all of them, like, even though I was being, like, kind of fast or, trying to want that every now and then, like, they was cool just talking to me on the phone. When we link up, like, they was like, okay, I'll kiss you, but girl, like, get your fucking hands off of me. Like, and then being that I was known, like, my grandfather, everybody knew he was a pastor, and then my grandfather on my mama's side, everybody know him as being a kingpin. So on both sides, like, people know who my family is, and won't nobody really playing with me like that. They was just like, girl, I'm not going to jail behind you. So even with that, that's why I don't really and I'm getting off track, y'all. But even with that, I don't. That's why I always say, like, guys who are predators when you are younger. I don't knock girls who date older guys, but a lot of times, the guys that I saw were predators. I knew they were predators. Like, I know a guy who just weird as fuck and just like little girls, and I also know a guy who sees me as somebody who is intellectual. They see me as somebody who is fun. They won't thinking about touching me. Like, I mean, they might have been thinking about it, but they were not going, they weren't crossing those boundaries, and I was dealing with them for a long time, like for years, and nobody knew about it, but I also was not having sex with them. So that brought me back when I was Yanni steaming. It brought me back to realizing, like, girl, like, you've always been a vibe. You don't have to give your body up just to date people. You don't have to give your body up just to be around people, because if they really fuck with you, they know that you a vibe. Like, they know that, it's a good time anytime you're around. And if they value that, they will wait. If they value that, they wouldn't be trying to touch on you and all the other stuff first and foremost anyway. So I had to tap back into that energy. And once Yanni Steeman brought that out of me, I started to decrease the amount of guys that I was having sex with in general. Like, I still wasn't dating anybody. I don't think I got back into a relationship until like 2017. I started Yanni Steeman in 2015, 2016. And I didn't get into a real relationship. Like, I had a situation that lasted like maybe 2 years, but I didn't get into an actual relationship until like 2018 or 2019. But yeah, I've always been somebody who wasn't really super promiscuous, but I had a lot. Like, when I was with somebody, I would literally stay with somebody just to have somebody. I wanted some consistent dick. So I would literally just tolerate you, even though you were toxic, even though you wouldn't do nothing for me, even though, like, you literally was just entertainment. I would stay with people or deal with people just for that pleasure. I remember, and that's why I show y'all grace when I have people who, like, I've been celibate for 2 months, or I've been abstinence for 2 months, or it's been 30 days, or I'm trying to go do the 90-day challenge in my ebook and Secrets to a Goddess Pussy. I tell you guys to be abstinent for 90 days. And I have women who are like, I'm on my journey. I'm trying to do it. I did 2 weeks, and in my mind, like, right now, I'll be like, girl, 2 weeks. But then I also show immediate empathy, because I'm like, it was a time in my life where 2 weeks seemed impossible to me too. Like, I go 30 weeks and I'll be like, yeah, 3 weeks, and I'll be like, it feel like I done been celibate for like 5 months, and it only been like a couple of weeks. Like, honey, hold up, what you say? Wait, where did it go? He said, I can't wait to steam, but I definitely cut it down. It was a couple that I had, but now I just have one. We understand that it's strictly sex and that's it. Hey, it's your journey, baby. It's your journey. Take your time with it. And I'm not even mad, because I miss having, fuck buddies. Like, not multiple, but I've had, like, real guys that we are literally really friends, like genuinely friends. There's no emotion attached to it whatsoever, but we can hit every now and then. That's like the ideal fuck buddy. It's not a good deal when he's secretly in love with you, or you secretly in love with him, and you just settling for the sex. But when both of y'all are genuinely friends and y'all just have the act of pleasure every now and then, I feel like that's a good thing. That's healthy sex, honestly. I really feel like that's healthy. But, that's just my opinion. But yeah, do you, girl. When you ready to do your abstinence journey, then I promise you it's going to transform your life. I feel like every woman should do at least 90 days just for self-control. If you cannot do it, he said, that's what I got, girl. We just cool with it. Yes, like, that's perfect. And I'm happy for you that you have that, because, it's healthy. Like, I don't want people to feel like it's unhealthy to have sex. Sex is literally just an act of worship. If you are having healthy sex, meaning that nobody's being hurt, nobody's heart is being played with, people are being safe, y'all not out here just doing reckless stuff, and you're doing it from a good space. Like, you're not just doing it because of a codependency or an emotional trauma. Like, you're just doing it for whatever reason. Like, if you're just doing it just because you need something to release, or somebody to do it with, y'all indulge in it. Like, as long as it's healthy. Like, and when I say healthy, that is subjective to whoever I'm talking to, or however healthy is to you. But if you are being hurt in any way, if you feel like you are being traumatized, if you still feel lonely, upset, vulnerable, and all these other negative emotions, then it's safe to say that it's not healthy. But if y'all are literally just having fun, and both of y'all have an understanding of that, and nobody's being hurt, everybody's playing it safe, have fun. Have fun. I don't think that sex has to be so uptight all the time, but definitely have fun in a safe way. So that's the first way that you can heal, yoni steaming for sure. Number 2 would be sacral chakra yoga, because your sacral chakra is your chakra for pleasure. Can't talk. Your chakra for intimacy and things like that. So when you have a lot of womb infections, like you have a lot of STIs, STDs, any type of infections, or fibroids and things like that, that's a good sign that you have a lot of sexual trauma, a lot of pent up trauma, womb trauma. You've suppressed a lot of your emotions from other things outside of sex or outside of your counterparts, but you suppress it all in your womb space. So there's a lot of womb trauma behind it. So when your body is manifesting in a lot of womb trauma, like as far as womb diseases and things like that, or hormonal imbalances and things like that, that's a good sign that you have a lot of trauma there that you need to heal. Or there's a lot of blockages in the sacral chakra. So the way to unblock that chakra is to do yoga specifically to that. So I'm going to do a video on it, but if you guys go back and watch the video on how to yoni steam effectively that I just posted last week, I do like a small yoga session before I yoni steam to help with the yoni steam, to help open up my hips and open up any traumas and release all of that emotional trauma before I yoni steam, so it can amp it up some more. If you go and look at that video, those practices, those yoga positions are very good to do on a regular basis. And when I say regular, get in the habit of doing it every day before you go to sleep, or as soon as you get up. You don't have to do all of them. If you do like the child's pose, that's one of my favorites to do right before I go to bed, just because it's easy to do. But child's pose, intentionally breathing in and exhaling. On the exhaling, diving my hips more and more into that position. And ideally, you want to get to a point where your pelvic area is flat on the ground. I'm still not there yet. I'm working on my flexibility. Like I said, by the time somebody tap this again, your girl gonna be a whole little don't play with it. Because baby girl gonna be a whole pretzel out here by the time I actually finish. Like, baby, don't play with it. Do not play with it. But yes, y'all, getting into your flexibility, getting to opening up your hips and moving your body. When I say sacral chakra yoga, that also includes dancing. So as women of color, a lot of our tradition comes with the slow whining, the twerking. Yes, yoga definitely has a peaceful effect. Yoga is a whole level of intimacy within itself. So get into yoga, y'all. Get into yoga. If you can't meditate, if you are still struggling to meditate, yoga will be the very next thing, the best thing to do to even get you in a mindset of starting to meditate. So that's a tip that I've never given anybody, but I put the correlation together like the other day. Like when I'm doing yoga, I'm essentially meditating. But when I tell you, like when people say when you are meditating to focus on your breath so that you can keep your mind focused, when you're doing yoga, you're trying to get in each position, but you are focusing on your breath as well. You're not thinking the fact that the position is probably hurting because you a little tight and you're trying to loosen up. You're thinking about that and trying to get comfortable, and then you're thinking about your breath. So you don't have time to try to think about, all the other stuff that's going on. Those emotions might come up, but you're also breathing through it because you're also feeling your hips. You might cry. You might, feel sadness. You might feel those emotions, but that is perfectly fine. That means it's working. With meditation, if you're you're just sitting there still, a lot of times those thoughts might come up, but you're not doing anything with them because you're just sitting there. So when those thoughts come up and you're doing yoga, they're actually releasing as well. So if you're struggling with meditation, try yoga first and get in a habit of doing yoga, and I guarantee you meditation is going to get easier for you. So we got the sacral chakra. Oh, back to the back to the movement. In our culture, we have like the slow whining. We have like, some cultures like Latin cultures, do the belly dancing and things like that. All of those are, even to this day, like a lot of people give the little TikTok dance a lot of trauma, like not a lot of trauma, a lot of flack. Like the what is it called? Y'all know. Y'all can't see my hips, but y'all know the little dance everybody keep doing with everything. Like a lot of people been giving it a lot of like, y'all sit up here twerking y'all hips with everything. Y'all doing this little with every single thing. But y'all, moving our hips is in our culture when it comes to releasing trauma. If y'all actually look at things from a bigger lens, it's not by mistake that these trends of dancing and things like that are coming in a time where our economy is moving and shifting, while we are healing, while we are coming into a new world order. It's not by mistake a lot of our dances are not, just regular twerking or anything, but a lot of these TikTok dances are literally moving your hips. That is not by mistake. Like there's always a bigger, deeper meaning to everything, although you might not be consciously doing it to remove tension and things like that. But the subconscious knows all. So when whoever created the dances and now it's going trending, we are all kind of somewhat doing these dances and releasing trauma, releasing tension in our hips. So think of that when you're seeing different trends and stuff like that. If you want to dance, if you're somebody who dance, do it with intention. I am moving my hips and I'm also releasing trauma. So that is a good practice as well. Moving your body, whining, dancing, twerking, all of that good stuff. All of that can be, if you're doing it intentionally, it is releasing trauma. So the next one would be ways to heal yourself is womb massages. So womb massages is really slept on because a lot of people look at womb massages and they automatically just think masturbation. But it's not the same. So the same way you can get like, the guys who do like the sensual massages and things like that, the intent of a regular massage is to relax the muscles and for relaxation, right? But if you get like a sensual massage with like a happy ending or whatever, essentially it's still to relax. So think of that the same in the same kind of sense. Like when you are doing a womb massage, you're not necessarily just doing it with the intention to please yourself. You're doing it with the intention of relaxation. So what I would say to use instead of like your regular toys, if you use toys, this is when the time where I would say to use a mirror. So that you can see what you are doing and so that you can have an intimate moment with yourself. I did a survey last summer. And I asked women, like, when was the first time, and when was the last time that you actually looked at your yoni? Like, when was the last time you actually like got a mirror and looked at it, and when was the first time? A lot of women have never looked at themselves. They didn't look at themselves for the first time until they were in their 20s. That's crazy. That's wild. Being that majority of women start having sex in high school. Like the average woman, they start having sex around 17, 18 years old. So with you having sex around 17 or 18 years old and you not seeing your vagina for the first time until you are 24 or 25 years old, that's crazy to me. However, I understand. I understand it, because if you are not connected to your body, the reason why I don't use the word vagina often is because the English translation to that is literally just your female reproductive organs. But when you use the word yoni has a lot more power to it, because it is like your sacred space, your portal. So when you are using words with power behind it, I I don't look at my womb as just a vagina. I don't look at, my vagina is just, an incubator. Like, I'm looking at it as a portal, as a womb, as a source of energy. So when I'm doing that, of course, I want to have a relationship with it. If you're only looking at it as a reproductive organ, then you're only looking at it as something that you can use to have sex with, and something that a baby is supposed to come out of. That's all you're looking at it as. You're not and what you use to go to the bathroom, like, that's all you're looking at it as. When you're looking at your womb as it being sacred, then not only are you going to be more cautious of what goes in it, but you are also going to be more cautious of what comes out of it. So what tension has been built up in it, and what needs to come out of it? How can you release that tension? And you can release it doing a massage, taking a mirror so that you can see yourself. I personally, if you want to spice it up just an extra notch, I would record it for yourself, and I would use, instead of artificial intelligence, meaning like a toy that has a battery or anything like that, because those do have radioactive waves in it. I'm not saying, I'm not somebody who was against toys. If y'all know me, like, I have a nice little collection. I love toys. However, I try to stay away from, especially if I'm like on a fasting journey or whatever, I try to stay away from using artificial intelligence. You want to use things that are natural. So using your hands, or using like crystal wands, is what I would recommend when you are on a healing journey. When you are using artificial intelligence, your mind is automatically going to go to just regular sex, that you're just masturbating. But when you are doing a womb massage, I would naturally use my fingers, my hands, or whatever, just so I can have that literal connection to, the warmth of my hand. This is real life. This is real blood that's going through my hands, and I'm also connecting to myself in that way. And then a crystal wand does the same thing. And as we're talking about crystal wands, I would say using a rose quartz, of course. But that's the only one that I use. There might be others. I ain't gonna say I've never seen another one, but like a jade, maybe a jade wand is good as well. But I only have a crystal, a rose quartz one. And also, as I talk about crystals, then that brings me to yoni eggs. Yoni eggs, I want to break down the benefits of the yoni egg. So a lot of people say, the yoni eggs aren't good for you. You shouldn't have anything up there, blah, blah, blah. Yoni eggs are very, very good for sexual trauma. Why are they good? If you actually have a real crystal, like a real rose quartz crystal, the crystal itself is what's helping you heal. What I will say is incorrect is a lot of people say that the yoni eggs help with Kegels and tightening up your Kegels. And that is not true. It's not true. A lot of times, how are you supposed to tighten your Kegels? You're supposed to technically tighten your Kegels during sex, honestly. So when y'all see people talk about, doing that little grip thing or whatever, that's what you're supposed to be doing, having sex. That's how you tighten your Kegels. But when it comes to a yoni egg, it's not big enough for you to be actually tightening anything with it to strengthen it. So when it comes to your Kegel muscles, you can do it with absolutely nothing, like just flexing it while you're just sitting there with nothing in it. And then you can do it while you're having sex. That's the only two ways that's really effective, other than like actual, pelvic exercises. Nothing other than that is really going to naturally help you tighten your pelvic floor or anything like that, or strengthen your Kegel muscles. You need to do it without having anything in it. But nonetheless, yoni eggs do work when it comes to sexual trauma, because of the principles of the properties in the actual egg of the rose quartz. That helps. And then it also gives you something that is not as big as the average penis. It's not as big as that, so it's not going to. Trauma goes deep with certain people, depending on what type of trauma you've had, what type of sexual trauma you had. But if you are somebody who does not orgasm, you are numb, you don't have any feelings or whatsoever when it comes to sex, you don't want something as big in you, or something that reminds you of sexual pleasure. You want something that just sits in there and it's just doing its job because of the properties, because you don't want to be aroused in a way that you feel like, this has a sexual mindset. If that makes sense. I hope this making sense to y'all. But if what I mean by that is like, if you don't want something to, the same way I said you don't want to use like a vibrator or anything like that when you're doing a womb massage, because that is going to relate you back to actually having a sexual experience instead of a healing experience. So you don't want to use something that's so big that it reminds you of something, or it gets you aroused in that way that you're thinking about sex, because usually if you have sexual trauma, you have a negative relationship with sex. So you don't want to think of that when you're healing. You want something that you can just put in there and then meditate, do your yoga, your sacred yoga positions, your sacral chakra yoga positions with the egg in it, and that'll amplify it as well. Then take it out and do the steam. That's a whole little ritual. That's a whole little ritual. I hope y'all picking that up. But that's a whole little thing that you can do to help you to amplify healing your sexual trauma. So I got the yoni egg, we got the womb massages, we got the sacral chakra yoga, yoni steaming, and then last but not least, you need to learn how to receive. Learning how to receive. Okay, we have 50 minutes too. Good timing. But learning how to receive is one of the best ways to help you heal sexual trauma, because a lot of times we have this toxic relationship with receiving or reciprocity in general, because it's a lot of times when we are receiving things, it's stuff that's not coming from a good place, and we've received a lot of trauma, we've received a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of abuse. So we have a problem receiving anything. We have a problem receiving love. We have a problem receiving help. We have a problem even receiving in the bedroom. I don't know how many women have told me that they've faked orgasms. I have never in my life faked an orgasm. I will literally tell you to get the fuck off of me if you are not doing what I need you to do, because we are conditioned to just be here for the male gaze. We are just conditioned that our body is just here for pleasure for other people, that we get to a point where we just don't feel like speaking up. Like, you could literally be having super painful sex and you're still going to perform or still allow this man to get his rocks off, because you don't want to speak up and say, yo, this is not comfortable for me, so I'm not going to do it, because we have a fear of, I don't want him to leave me and go to somebody else, or I don't want him to think that I'm not interested in him, because I really do care. Like, if you are with somebody who does not understand that sex is deeper than just physical play as a woman, then you need to get somebody who's grown. You need to get somebody who is understanding, somebody who actually cares about you, because a man who understands that for them it might just be physical, but for you, if we're not emotionally correct, if we're not emotionally on the right page, we could not be ready to have sex. If we got physical things going on, we might not be want to have sex. If we are not, if they can get it up, they cool. But if we are not wet, then sex is not pleasurable either. Having dry ass sex is not pleasurable. And a lot of times it's because we've been so used to just being pounded all the time, that how often are you even getting foreplay? Foreplay is a form of intimacy that should be happening 20-30 minutes before you even stick anything in. So a lot of times y'all not even having trauma because, or like I said, a lot of trauma comes from you not being pleased. You're causing that pain on yourself by allowing people to lay down with you who are not, their intention is not to please you. You need to set intentions to actually attract people who want to please you. Having somebody not care about giving you, I mean, I'm not somebody who big on oral, but I know that that's a part of foreplay. So I will allow a guy to do that to get themselves aroused, honestly. But because I'm not, if I'm not into you, we're not doing it anyway. So I'll let them do it for their own pleasure, because I know that they like to please me. So you need to be setting intentions for people who want to please you. If somebody just like, I can't stand, and thank God I haven't experienced this in such a long time, but a guy who's just like, can you get it up for me? If they not standing up by the time you walk in a room, just the thought of them being able to get some, they're the wrong person. They're the wrong person. If you gotta get it up for them, they're the wrong person. That you shouldn't be fondling with them, because they don't really care. Like, and then to not be ready and then want me to get you ready, they're already starting off by not coming to please you. So that's a good start as well. Stop dealing with people who do not want to please you. That goes with putting your crown on and understanding the value that you are. Like, it is a privilege. It should be a privilege for anybody to be able to tap into your sacred box. If you knew who you were and you knew your value, you would be taking that more seriously. It is a pleasure. It is a privilege for you to be even in my space and breathing the air that I breathe, let alone in my pants. Okay. So I need you to know that when you come into this room, meaning that you are, foreplay starts at the, if we already decided that we, I ain't gonna say I don't like it, because I do like it, but most of the time sex isn't planned. But say you do have planned sex because you got children or whatever, so this weekend we ain't got the kids, let's get something spicy. Foreplay starts from the time y'all go to work, from the time y'all actually get the deed done. So when you're going out to work that day, when he's going to work, this is some of y'all who are married, or you in relationships, or y'all live together, y'all know y'all don't got the kids that weekend, y'all having date night or whatever. Foreplay starts as soon as y'all go separate ways and y'all go out for the day. You should be texting sexy stuff. He should be texting you sexy stuff. You should be doing, setting the mood. He should be setting the mood, as well as like, oh, let me make sure that she comes home and I have her favorite whatever here. Like, let me go make sure she eats at her favorite restaurant. Like, all of that is considered foreplay. And then once you get into the bedroom, it should not start with just pounding or just penetration. It should start with massaging the body. Like, a lot of men sleep on massages. Like, it's sad to say, but a lot of women have never even experienced sex. They've just been fucked, and that is very sad to say. And it's sad to say because pussy runs the world. So how is this so? Like, how is this? That just lets us know how brainwashed we are and how conditioned we have become to just to adapt into this misogynistic environment that we live in. Because if we really knew that pussy is power, like, if we actually knew that there is no reason why women in their 30s have never been on a real date and you ain't a virgin, how you have children and you've never been on a real date? How is that so? And then a lot of women have never had real sex. Like, you've never had somebody give you a massage before y'all have sex. You never had somebody give you a massage, wash your hair or play in your hair and, talk sweet to you and say little nice things to you, actually set the mood and set the intention of having an amazing night. Y'all, I hate that for you. I hate that for you. And I want you guys to experience it because it is real. There are a lot more guys out here who want to do that than guys who don't. It's a lot of guys that y'all might have dealt with who you might think, oh, they just not the type to do all of that. And they are doing it for the next person who is actually demanding it to be a requirement. I want y'all to start healing this sexual trauma so that you can get the love that you desire, so that you can get the orgasms that you desire, that you can get the pleasure that you deserve, because we have a whole sacred area here, and it's not just for having children, but at the same time, it's literally a place for pleasure. Guys should not be the only ones who having fun when it comes to their sexual organs. You should be able to have fun and be free with that as well. Like, y'all, I'm not uptight. I ain't no prude. Like, I don't mind women, out here giving it up, but I want you guys to, what are you giving it up for? You ain't even having a good time. So why you running through these niggas and you not even having a good time? It's like, it's all right every now and then. Like, I want y'all to be able to get y'all back broke every single time you lay down. I want y'all to be able to actually feel the intimate connection with whoever you are sleeping with every single time. Like, even with your quickies, it should still be an emotional, spiritual, a vibrant connection every single time. And when it's not like that, is causing more trauma on whatever trauma you got going on. You could be actually sleeping with somebody that you actually like, or who's actually a nice person, but if they are not pleasing you and you still just laying there doing it just because you feel like it's a deed because you like them, you are still causing more sexual trauma to your womb. So I want you guys to actually enjoy having sex. I want you to actually enjoy your womb space and having sexual relationships with people. I want you to be able to enjoy that again, because you truly deserve that. And it's a shame that we don't. It's a shame that we don't. So I think that's all I have. Oh no, one more thing. I want to give you guys a practical way to learn how to loosen up. So I want you guys to practice one of the practical ways. I already gave y'all a little recipe as far as the yoni egg and stuff like that. I gave you a little ritual that you can do, but something that you can do right now, today, every day going forward after you're seeing this. One of the ways that you can start to release some of this sexual trauma, or some learning how to just release in general, is learning how to be relaxed, mastering relaxation. So what? Oh, excuse me. What I want you guys to do is be mindful of your breath. Be mindful of your breath. And I know people say that all the time, like breathing, breath work, and everything. That's just like meditation when it comes to people. Consistency is what's going to make you better. There's nothing other than consistency that's going to make it better. But what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to, even as this video, if y'all go back and watch this video, I feel myself tensing up. And what I do is, when I feel myself tensing up, a lot of times we be like this all day long, because we talk and we get to moving our hands or whatever, and then we just be still like this. If you go watch, because I felt myself do this a lot of times, because as I'm saying this, a lot of things are triggering to myself. So I feel myself tensing up, but I'm also being mindful of that, and I drop my shoulders. I want you guys to learn how to relax and catch yourself when you like this. I used to walk around all the time like this, because I'm so passionate about what I'm talking about, and I'm like this all the time. I have to be cautious of that, and I relax my eyebrows. Be mindful of the tension. When you start to go to bed, a way to go to bed easily and set yourself for this relaxation is, before you go to bed, do a body scan. This is another way to tap into meditation too. Another key to tapping into meditation. But do a body scan. When you lay down, release everything, all the tension from your head all the way down to your toes. So you scan from your head. If your eyebrows or whatever, relax your eyebrows. Relax the tongue from the roof of your mouth. Relax your jaws. Relax your shoulders. Relax your arms, your elbows, your fingers. Relax your abdomen. Relax your hips. Relax your thighs, your knees, your calves, your toes. And as you're relaxing all of this, you're breathing regular. And as you're breathing regular, you're going to also be scanning all of these things. So as you're saying relax it, you're going to see if there's any tension, if there's any pain in this area, and then you want to keep breathing it out. So inhale and exhale through every part of the body that you are releasing. Inhale and exhale, and you release that, and you blow out on a daily. This is what you're going to start to practice doing before you go to bed, to help you go to sleep and to just help you to relax and get a full night's rest. But throughout the day, I want you to get in the habit of checking not only your shoulders and making sure that you are relaxed, but also checking to see if your butt cheeks are clenched, or your butthole is clenched. So you want to make sure that you are, if you are somebody, like, even as I said that, like, are you, when you release yourself, or when you're standing somewhere, notice if you are clenching your butt together. That's the one way to know that you are not you're not comfortable, or that you have some blockages in your root chakra. Be mindful of that. Just start to be mindful of, is my butt clenched up, or are my kegels tightened up right now? You want to breathe and make sure that all of those things are relaxed at all times. And when you are just being conscious of self, like just checking in with that. Are my shoulders hiked up, or should I relax them? Is my eyebrows, am I frowning up, or making those, or should I relax my eyebrows? Like, just be conscious of the tension that you're holding. And once you start to relax all the time, you'll start to notice, because me being like this is starting to hurt. I started to feel tension because it's not normally like this. When you first start doing it, it's going to be more painful, or not painful, but you'll feel the pressure once you release it because you're used to being like this. But me now doing this all the time and me being mostly at a relaxed state, I start to feel tension when I'm like this all the time because my body is letting me know, hey, you're relaxed, which you're so tense about. So just being mindful of that. Be mindful of the pressures on your body when you are tensed up, when you are frowned up, when your butthole is clenched up. Make sure that you are being conscious of those things and learn how to relax. Learn how to relax. Once you learn how to relax, this is going to bring you to a peaceful state. It's going to bring you to a place of calmness. And it's also going to bring you should do this right before you're having sex. So a part of foreplay should be like this so that you can relax. A lot of times, y'all, it's really psychological when you can't be aroused or you're not really wet and things like that. A lot of that comes from the psychological stress of the sexual trauma as well as your everyday environment, because it all is one body. Your spirit, your mind, your mental is all one body and all coexist together. So when you have other traumas that's going on, that's going to reflect your traumas in a real world. So you want to be able to relax and be mindful of when you're tensed up and just master relaxing, master noticing when your shoulders are hunched and just lower them down whenever you notice it throughout the day. All right, so that's all I have for you guys. I hope that this information was helpful for you guys. If it was, definitely give me a thumbs up and drop some hearts down in the comments if it was helpful to you guys. And if you are not subscribed, make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel because there are plenty more videos where this came from. And we do go live every single night, Monday through Friday, talking about these hard conversations so that we can get on a healing journey. All right, you guys. So have an amazing night. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.